"Get out now!" The roar blasted down the cabin like a cannon, shattering the calm and turning heads in every row. The flight attendant's face was a mask of fury, her arms slicing through the air like a blade as she blocked the aisle. In front of her stood a striking black woman. Flawless suit, spine straight, boarding pass clutched in her hand like a weapon, staring back without flinching. The tension crackled, thick enough to choke on. Passengers froze mid-movement, phones snapping up to record the carnage. This wasn't a boarding delay. This was a public execution in progress, and the fallout was about to set the internet on fire and bring an airline to its knees. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because this isn't just a story about travel. It's a story about power, dignity, and a twist so satisfying you'll want to watch it twice. And if you've ever faced injustice, drop your country in the comments. We're building a community that stands together. Her name was Naomi Carter, and in the corporate world, it was a name that meant power. CEO of a billion-dollar tech company, a woman who had clawed her way to the top without shortcuts, without apologies. She was 42 years old, with the kind of poise you can't fake, the poise of someone who had been underestimated, dismissed, and doubted more times than she could count, and who had made every one of those doubters regret it. This trip was no holiday. Naomi was flying to Zurich to close the most important deal of her career, one that would reshape an entire industry. Time was her currency, and a long-haul first-class seat wasn't luxury. It was her mobile boardroom. She arrived at the gate with everything in order, ticket booked weeks in advance, documents prepped, suit tailored to perfection. Boarding was routine until she stepped into the plane's first-class cabin. She slid her leather briefcase into the overhead bin, took her seat, and began arranging her work. That's when the shadow fell over her. The lead flight attendant stood there, lips pressed into a razor-thin line, eyes raking over Naomi like she was an intruder. "This section is for first-class passengers only." The words were coded in condescension. Naomi calmly held out her boarding pass, but the attendant didn't lean forward to look. She took a step closer instead, voice rising so the surrounding passengers could hear. "You need to move to economy." The cabin's chatter faded. Heads turned. A man 2 rows back lifted his phone, angling for a better shot. Naomi explained she was exactly where she belonged, but the attendant's posture hardened. With a sudden motion, she reached into the overhead bin, grabbed Naomi's briefcase, and thrust it toward her. "I said move!" Gasps rippled through the cabin. More phones went up. Naomi stayed in her seat, her gaze locked on the attendant. She'd faced high-stakes negotiations, hostile takeovers, rooms full of rivals, and she wasn't about to be bullied out of the seat she'd paid for. The attendant's voice sharpened. "Security!" 2 uniformed officers boarded within minutes, moving with the grim efficiency of men who thought they were dealing with a troublemaker. The attendant pointed directly at Naomi. "She's refusing to comply. Remove her." They didn't check her ticket. They didn't ask questions. They just gripped her arm and walked her down the aisle. The walk of shame. Passengers stared. Some whispered. Others filmed. Naomi didn't bow her head. Every step was deliberate, her back straight, her face calm. At the gate, the truth came out in seconds. The gate agent scanned her pass and froze. "She's first class." Too late. The doors were shut. Her seat was gone. Naomi was rebooked in first class on the next flight, the cost absorbed by the airline. But she wasn't interested in their token gesture, because while she sat in that terminal, the video was already flooding social media. By the time she landed in Zurich, millions had seen it. News outlets were running it, hashtags were trending. She released a statement, precise, composed, and devastating, detailing not just what happened, but what it meant. She didn't name the attendant, but the airline confirmed she was no longer with the company within 48 hours. Then Naomi made her move. Her company terminated all corporate travel contracts with the airline, millions of dollars gone overnight. Other firms followed. Facing a PR nightmare and mounting financial loss, the airline's CEO reached out personally. Not only did they apologize, they offered her the chair position on a new diversity and inclusion board. Naomi accepted, not for them, but for the countless passengers who'd been treated as if they didn't belong. She walked off that plane in humiliation. Now she was flying higher than ever, and the airline was paying the price for underestimating her. And that's why you never assume someone's place by looking at them. Naomi turned their disrespect into a lesson the airline will never forget. If you're glad she stood her ground, smash that subscribe button now and share this story, because the next one we tell might just be the truth they tried to hide.